Hey, thanks, Sarah. I found myself clearing my throat to start this story. Quick question. Are you finding yourself sniffling, sneezing, and constantly fighting a runny or stuffy nose? Do you feel seen right now? Well, pollen season is here, and it's getting ready to peak, too. 10 Tampa Bay's Dr. Jenny Dean has teamed up with meteorologist Grant Gilmore to give us a deeper dive and make it better for us.
I'm more like Dr. Google. I can certainly Google things anytime and diagnose. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're new to Florida or if you've lived here a long time. Anyone can suffer from environmental allergies, new or ones that you've had. Now, the big culprit is pollen. Sometimes it's obvious when you see a light layer of green coating your car, everything else you see outside, but seasonal allergies can really strike at any time for many reasons.
There's a variety of different things: pollutants, naturally occurring pollens, naturally occurring molds, naturally occurring insect debris. All sorts of things influence who gets into trouble, when they get into trouble, and how much they get into trouble.
And that is Dr. Richard Locke. He's the director of allergy and immunology at USF. He says allergies are also cumulative. So if you're allergic to multiple things like cats and dust, and then you get the environmental allergies, it's going to be a lot worse. But he also says weather does have a major impact. And this is why we are bringing in our meteorologist, Grant Gilmore, because we can't really talk about pollen without talking about the weather.
Yes.
And so you've got some really important information for us.
Yeah, you know, when you start looking at least the natural allergens and pollen and all of that, warmer temperatures and sunlight are the general drivers that kickstart the pollen season. Now, when you look at the average annual temperature here in Tampa, the data actually shows us that we have warmed 3.4 degrees since 1970. So as our climate changes, it appears that pollen and allergy season is changing as well. Now, around the country, so around the United States, the U.S. is generally seeing a longer growing season as the average number of days above freezing also increases. Now, this ultimately is impacting our allergies and our health.
There's a real link between climate change and health, and people are starting to feel it now.
Increased carbon dioxide and warming temperatures are the underlying drivers to our changing climate. And now we are realizing the impact that it has on pollen and your allergies.
With climate change and the warmer temperatures, what's happened is the growing seasons have gotten longer. If you suffer from seasonal allergies, you'll be feeling it much sooner. The other thing with respect to climate change is the increased amount of carbon dioxide in the air. And that is a driver in plants' increased release of pollen.
A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in 2021 showed that in the 60 pollen reporting stations across the United States, the pollen season had become 20 days longer compared to what it was in 1990. And human-caused climate change was responsible for at least half of the additional days of pollen season. The study's conclusion? Climate-driven pollen trends are likely to further exacerbate respiratory health impacts in coming decades. A reporting station in Tampa was one of the sites monitored, and not only did it show a strong signal for a longer pollen season, but more pollen in general, directly impacting your allergies. A minor discomfort for some, but allergies can be a trigger for asthma.
And if you have allergic asthma and you start to have much more intense allergic reactions because of the pollens, that could trigger your asthma. And close to 3,000 people die a year from asthma. So for chronic conditions like asthma, allergies can be a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, pollen's a real issue, and a lot of times you don't, you just think climate change, you think about sea level rise, you think about temperatures and so on and so forth, but I think we need to start thinking about pollen too.
Yes, and just growing seasons in general. I mean, it's really, it kind of starts to click, and so many people are suffering right now from allergies.
Yep.
Coming up next half hour, a really interesting thing we want to talk about, how thunderstorms can actually spark a sudden allergy or asthma attack. We got some cool stuff on that.